Hey everyone, it's Christos here, aka the FRAG, and today I want to review my new axe. That's right. Get that into your head. No, this is what I usually carry around on Halloween, and people mistaken it as a real axe. They call the cops come over, they pull their guns at me, then they realize it's made of plastic, and they say, you know what, just give us a few trick or treats and we'll be on our way. So, let's put that down. But today I'm actually reviewing tonight on Sale of the Century, you could win a Fender made in Japan box Stratocaster. So today I'm going to review this exact same guitar, the Fender made in Japan box Stratocaster. Now, before we get started, please hit like, subscribe. I'm regularly putting out videos, whether it's playing along to my favorite songs or doing product reviews for electric guitars, basses, and different components. For those of you that are joining for the first time, welcome to my channel. My name's Christos, aka the FRAG. I dedicate this channel to all things music, musical instruments, and the joy of music and the passion and the ability to play musical instruments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up this segment to start off going over the specifications of the guitar, talk about a few things that I've come across since I've taken acquisition of this guitar. GAS, guitar acquisition syndrome, look it up. It's an incurable disease. Do not fight it. Do not fight it. Succumb to the gas. And I'm also, like I said, I'm also going to talk about things that I've picked up on and things that you need to be aware of. And then I'll probably finish off with things that I might do to this guitar. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to do any sound samples because the way that I like to do these reviews is, generally speaking, I just like to review the guitar and then post other videos on my channel when I'm actually jamming along to my favorite music. Because my theory is that you should get, or you will get, a better appreciation of the instrument and its capability when it's in the mix with another piece of music, as opposed to musicians just going, this is what it sounds like, clean, a bit of grime, then heavy and really, really heavy. So let's start off. You've got a basswood body. So the species of wood, basswood, is still classified as a hardwood, but it's a softer hardwood. Okay, so just be mindful of that. It's not as hard as the likes of alder, mahogany, and so forth. You've got two humbuckers. These are Alnico humbuckers. They're very, very high output. So as you can see, that the design of this guitar is really harking back to the 80s golden era of guitar shredding, where there was more hairspray that you could put a hole in a universe, let alone an atmosphere. All that shredding and all, guitarists pulling crazy faces with tribal spandex and so forth. You've got a three-way toggle switch, which at that position, it's the bridge, middle is both, front is just the neck pickup. You've got volume, and here you've got a coil switch split for both humbuckers. And then, so in the back position, it's full humbucker, front position, it's split. Then you've got this rather intuitive and ingenious potentiometer known as a TBX, or treble bass expander. So when you look at it, it's actually a stacked potentiometer. And if you go on Fender's USA website, you can actually find it there. It says notify me when in stock next, but it's really weird because it's rated from 250 to 1000K. So what happens is between 1 and 5, it acts as a normal bass and treble tone potentiometer. And once you hit 5, you hear there's a little notch, like a little bump that you can feel. And from 5 to 10, it actually increases the output of the pickup. So to give you an example, when I plugged in my guitar lead and then I plugged my two nodes from my multimeter on the tips of the lead, turned up the volume to see what the rating was of the pickups. At 5, this pickup was around 16.6, which is very, very hot. It's a very hot pickup. This is only about 6.6. So there's quite a lot of margin between the two. But then once I turned this up to 10, this jumped up from about 16.6 to almost 19. I mean, that is hot. We're talking like, the Jeff Beck Seymour Duncan pickup is around 16 point something. The Seymour Duncan distortions are around the same. You know, you're talking active pickups are at this rating, like EMGs. But this only jumps up to about 7. So I'll come back to that. You've got modern bridge saddles, so you haven't got the bent steel bridge saddles that you get on vintage Fenders and so forth. You've got a 1-ply pick guard, so it's nice and thick, as you can see there. You've got a 25.5-inch scale, 12-inch radius, not 9.5, 12-inch radius. So what does that mean? If you remember your old mathematics subjects from school, radius is the measurement of from the center of a circle to its outer circumference. So when you hear people talking about 12-inch radius, 9.5-inch radius, 7.25, 16, 20-inch radius, what that means is that if you start at a midpoint and work up 12 inches and then draw a circle, the circumference of that circle, or the curvature of that circle, will equal the curvature of this fretboard. And so what that means is that the bigger the radius, in other words 12, 16 and so forth, you're dealing with a bigger circle, but the width of the fretboard is the same. So when you're dealing with a big circle, it's going to be much flatter because you're taking the same size but a much more bigger circle to match the radius or the curvature of the fretboard. Yet with 7.25, you're dealing with a smaller circle, so therefore much more curved. And what that means is that the flatter this radius is, like imagine you're looking at it now, and this is the fretboard of a 7.25, but this is a 12-inch. Where the strings are coming down the fretboard, because it's much flatter, if this is the high E string, this finger here, when you're bending it, there's nothing, the curvature of the fretboard won't make contact with the string. So therefore you can sustain the note much, much better. Now, if this was 7.25, it's much more curved. If the high E string is down here, as soon as you come up a bit, the curvature of the neck makes contact with the string and drowns out the note. Yeah, so that's why a lot of modern guitarists, shred guitarists, like that larger radius fretboard. So you've got a 25.5-inch scale, 22 jumbo frets. So I'll come back to that in terms of things that you need to be mindful about jumbo frets. You've got a gloss urethane finish on here. It's like a varnish sort of finish, and it's really nice. These guitars come in 2 colors. This one, which is an Inca Silver, and then the Sherwood Green. I bought this about 6 weeks ago, and I literally bought it about the day before, the day after the Fender Australia stopped advertising these on their website. So here in Australia, Fender Australia allows customers to buy directly from their website. It has been a bit contentious. And we're talking guitars, basses, amps, everything. So you no longer need to actually go to your local dealer. But I went to a dealer that's about an hour drive in the city of Wollongong, and I'm in Sydney. You've got a medium C neck profile. So it's not a modern C like the Player series, which is thinner, but it's not that much noticeably thicker as well. And after a bit of playing time, it actually feels like a modern C. You've got a bone nut, you've got white inlays, you've got a beautiful plate here, you've got the micro tilt adjustments. Now I haven't actually tried it out itself, I could be wrong, but when I put one of the Allen keys in here, it actually fit. So there's actually something there that it's fitting into. You've got this beautiful plaque that says made in Japan with the serial number, and then you've got the engraved Fender logo. You've got the back plate, and you've got the also back plate here, because you'll see, unlike normal Fender Stratocasters, the input jack is actually at the bottom. It's not actually to the side like normal Strats are. As I mentioned, you've got a bone nuts. You've got closed off Goto tuners, and these ones have a ratio of 15:1, and I'll come back to them. And you've got a vintage string tree. And then you've got your white dot inlays. It's the usual double cutaway, but if there's one thing I really love about this guitar, just look at the grain on that neck. Yeah, it's beautiful. And the neck itself is like literally a raw wood. It's not like a gloss wood or anything like that. It's just nice and natural feeling. So that's pretty much, and you've got the beautiful black colored headstock. And as you can see, you've also got a beautiful Fender grey logo, which actually complements the Inca Silver as opposed to the Sherwood Green. And I think it actually looks nice with all the black hardware as well. And the truss rod nut is adjustable through the headstock, and I'm almost certain that it's a 4mm, this one, because I tried the 5mm and it was too big. But it does come with 3 Allen keys. There's one for the truss rod, one for the bridge saddles to adjust their height, and also one to adjust the synchronized poles on the tremolo, and also that fits into the micro tilt as well. So things that I've noticed and things that you might want to be mindful of is, firstly, when you buy, if you do buy one of these, the tremolo is perfectly parallel but floating. Now, what I like to do, I like to actually lower the tremolo base to the body, so it's actually resting on the body. But because I had to do that, I had to actually raise the bridge saddles, because otherwise the action would have been too low. And right now, my action is pretty much at 1mm, and it's really, really low. Now, the jumbo frets I mentioned before, because a jumbo fret sits wider and higher than a normal fret, remember, the longer the distance it takes to press down a note on a string, the more inclined it is to become sharp. So hence why you're probably better off when you do set these up, if you buy one of these, is to set it up with a low action. Because what I find is that when I press a bit too hard, some of the notes do tend to sharpen. And especially if you're playing chords or you're doing lead work or something like that, just something to be mindful of. I think I mentioned it is a bow nut. I do find also with, unlike other Fenders, this one it appears as though that the strings tend to sort of roll off sometimes a bit more. So I don't know if it's the design of this guitar, but what it does is it makes me more conscious when I'm playing. So that way when I'm doing arpeggios or doing legato, when I get to the last string, instead of sort of bringing my fingers down, which could sort of claw down the string, I'm having my fingers more perpendicular to the fretboard. The tuners, yeah, they're Goto, they're made in Japan, but they're 15:1. They're 15:1, so it's not the best ratio. And because I've upgraded the strings from 9-42 to 10-46, I am finding that the nut, like I'll turn the machine heads, thinking that it's tuned, but then I'm playing and it seems like the strings just crept a little bit more along. And I do find that with this particular nut, it's as though the luthiers that manufactured this guitar only wanted you to have 9-42s. So when I put on my 10-46s, it is a bit tighter. So what I'm going to do with the next set is I'm going to shave a bit of pencil graphite or lead with some Vaseline, and then just get a toothpick and just blob it on the slots there, and that'll allow the string travel to be a lot more smoother, and it acts as a nice lubricant as well. It does come with a deluxe padded gig bag as well, so I should mention that. But just be mindful is that, I don't know if you can see, I don't know if you can see, but just about there, you can see a few indentations from the zipper of the gig bag. So if you are going to buy Fender basses or guitars that come in a gig bag, please look around at the main points where the guitar or the bass will make contact or could make contact with the zipper, and it's usually here. It won't be here because you've got the machine heads along that protrude beyond the top of the headstock, but also here as well, the cutaway, the belly cut around here, maybe the back as well. So again, it's not anything dying over, but some people are really passionate about the condition of their guitars. So in terms of what I would do to this guitar, to be honest with you, nothing. The only thing I've done is I've changed the stock Fender strap holders, and they come in black with a felt pad. I changed them to Jim Dunlop. I haven't actually got the locking mechanism, I've just got the strap holders. what I did find after about a couple of weeks of playing is this one became a little loose. And even when I tightened it, I reached to the point where it wasn't turning anymore, and I left it at that. And so it wasn't like it kept turning, it just wouldn't turn anymore, but I didn't force it. So that's one thing you need to remember. If you're going to change the screws, turn it, but don't force it. So I've tightened it up again, and again, it turned to its maximum point without me forcing it, and we'll see how we go. If it continues, then there's the old trick where you put a toothpick in there with some glue, leave it a few hours to dry, or you can just tighten it up as well, and the glue acts as a lubricant and also bonds everything better together. Or you can just wait a few hours and then just, tighten the screw. But that's one of the downsides of basswood, is that because it is a softer hardwood, it's probably going to be more prone to losing the thread patterns, stripping the threads in there if you change a screw. And it's happened to me before with basswood. In terms of alder wood and also mahogany, like really hardwoods, I've never had that problem. So that's something to note. Overall, am I happy with this guitar? Absolutely, I love it. For the money that I paid for it, I think it's a good deal, considering what you could get if something like this came from Fender USA, or God forbid the custom shop. So yeah, I'll be posting a few videos later on, playing along to my favorite music. Hope you enjoy them. Please leave comments, and yeah, thank you very much, and keep safe and stay positive. Thank you.